They had forgotten Earth. For centuries, the galaxy spun on without it. Trade routes stretched between 1,000 suns, fleets patrolled the void, and empires rose and fell like tides. But Earth was silent. It had no colonies, no fleets, no allies. On galactic charts, the blue world was barely a footnote if it appeared at all. To outsiders, it was a relic, a backwater clinging to a star no one cared about. And so, when whispers spread that Earth had no defenses, no ships, no power, those whispers grew into hunger, an opportunity. The alien scouts were the first to arrive. Sleek vessels, dagger-shaped and painted in the darkness of deep space, glided toward the blue-green sphere. Their hulls shimmered with the glow of plasma. Drives, silent hunters, descending upon an unsuspecting prey. From orbit, they gazed at the planet. Vast oceans gleamed beneath sunlight. Clouds drifted like lazy veils over green continents. The city's primitive clusters of steel and glass spread, like fragile veins across the land. One commander chuckled. No defense grid, no orbital platforms. Their satellites are antiques. On their tactical screens, Earth was a blank slate. No warships stirred in orbit. No defense systems stirred awake. Only silence. And silence, to predators, meant weakness. But not all silence is surrender. From below, the people of Earth looked. To the skies. They saw only contrails, only clouds, only stars. Their governments made no announcements. Their militaries made no sudden movements. The world spun as it always had, and yet, in the dark, there were watchers in hidden bunkers beneath mountains, in listening stations buried beneath polar ice, in networks wired through forgotten satellites' eyes turned toward the heavens. Generations had been waiting for this moment, waiting for the arrogance of the stars to return. The alien scouts sent word back to their fleet. The message was simple. The prey is undefended. The planet is ours. An armada stirred. Dozens of warships cut across the void, gathering in the shadow of the moon. Their hulls glimmered like a storm of knives, each bristling with weapons powerful, enough to reduce continents to ash. Still, Earth said nothing, not a whisper, not a warning. To the galaxy, it seemed proof of weakness to those who truly knew Earth. It was proof of something else entirely. Patience. On board the alien flagship, a strategist scoffed as he studied the planet, a world abandoned by the stars. No allies, no defenders. It will fall in days. Another laughed. Fall? This planet will beg for mercy before the first week is done. They believed Earth was isolated, defenseless, forgotten. The most dangerous prey is the one you think cannot fight back. Beneath the surface of Earth, machinery stirred. Sealed doors older than living memory hissed with steam. Vast chambers, carved deep into stone, thrummed with power. The world above carried on, unaware. Cities bustling, children playing, skies calm. But in the dark, the old guardians prepared. The invasion had begun. They came like a storm. The first alien warships slipped from the void, shimmering into existence above the moon. Then more followed, dozens, then hundreds, till the night sky itself seemed torn apart. The armada stretched across the black, a wall of steel and firepower so vast that Earth's pale blue sphere looked like nothing more than prey beneath a predator's shadow. Their ships were massive, sculpted with cruel angles and bristling with weapons that could shatter mountains. Plasma batteries hummed to life. Missile bays yawned open like the jaws of hungry beasts. The commanders of the fleet looked down upon Earth and laughed. Look at them. One sneered, his mandibles clicking in amusement. No fleets rising to meet us. No orbital defenses. Not even a single military beacon. They are children playing in the dark. Another added, their satellites, toys, their weapons. Outdated, they will crumble before we even set foot on their soil. The bridge of the alien flagship erupted in cruel laughter to them. Earth was already conquered below. The people of Earth stared upward. In cities across the globe, the night sky shimmered with unnatural light. The alien fleet, though high above, was vast enough to blot out stars. Ordinary people pointed at the heavens, their faces lit by the glow of the invaders' drives. Fear spread like fire. News reports tried to explain the impossible. Governments scrambled to respond. Fighter squadrons scrambled. Though everyone knew, their jets and missiles were no match for ships that had crossed the stars. Still, Earth made no official move. No declaration of war, no surrender, only silence. And that silence gnawed at the invaders. On the alien flagship, the Supreme Commander tapped his claws against the armrest of his throne. His voice slithered across the command deck. Why no response? Are they truly so primitive, or so arrogant? A strategist bowed. Primitive, my lord. This world is defenseless. They are lucky we choose to conquer them. Another fleet might have simply burned them to ash. The commander's eyes narrowed, a flicker of unease crossing his gaze as he stared at the blue world. But it passed. He rose to his feet, arms spread wide. Then let us remind these primitives who rules the stars. The order was given. Missiles fell. The first salvo rained down from orbit, streaking through the atmosphere like fire-born comets. They tore through the sky in burning arcs, screaming toward their targets. Satellites exploded into shards of molten glass. Power grids flickered and died. Communication hubs dissolved into fireballs. Across Earth, night turned to day in flashes of white light. The alien fleet's laughter echoed in the silence of space. Pathetic, one officer hissed. Their networks collapse in minutes. Their eyes in the sky are blind. Soon, their world will be ours. The commander nodded, lips curling into a grin. A harvest without effort. The galaxy will mock us for choosing such an easy conquest. The fleet celebrated. But down on Earth, in the shadows, humanity did not panic. While the world above trembled, sealed bunkers deep underground remained calm. Men and women in uniforms sat before glowing consoles, watching every missile strike, every fleet movement, every arrogant maneuver. They think we are broken. Let them think it a little longer. The alien commander gazed at the burning cities. Below, satisfied. Send the landing ships, he ordered. By dawn, their leaders will kneel before us. Dozens of dropships peeled away from the fleet, their hulls blazing as they entered the atmosphere. They streaked toward Earth like falling stars. None would return. They thought Earth would kneel by dawn. The alien commander watched with smug satisfaction as dozens of dropships cut through the atmosphere like blazing meteors. Each one carried platoons of heavily armed soldiers, warriors bred in Voidborn. Battlefields armored and plating that had crushed rebellions on countless worlds. They expected silence below. They expected submission, but the silence they entered was not surrender. It was a warning. The first dropships landed in the Amazon basin. Their hulls hissed as steam poured from scorched metal, hydraulic ramps slamming into the earth. Soldiers marched out in perfect formation, weapons raised. The jungle loomed before them, thick with vines and shadow. Primitive, their captain growled. He gestured forward. Burn it, flamethrowers hissed. Jets of fire lit the night, leaves shriveling into ash. The forest roared with smoke and flame. The aliens laughed as trees toppled and animals fled. Then, silence. A soldier turned, sensors worry, movement. The jungle answered with gunfire. Sharp cracks split the night. Muzzle flashes flickered like fireflies in the dark. Alien. Soldiers dropped one by one, armor pierced by rounds they couldn't even track. Panic rippled through the squad as unseen enemies melted back into the shadows. Within minutes, the entire platoon was gone. The dropship's beacon went silent, half a world away. Another landing party stormed the streets of an abandoned city. The building stood tall, but eerily empty, windows shattered, cars rusting in place. Their footsteps echoed against concrete. No resistance, one soldier muttered. Where are they hiding? The captain sneered. Perhaps underground. Find them, drag them into the light. The squad split into alleys. Weapons raised on, one by one. They vanished. A scream echoed from a side street cut short. Another soldier was yanked into a doorway, his rifle clattering on the pavement. Shadows shifted in the high-rises, sniper fire raining down from rooftops unseen. The comms dissolved into chaos. We're under attack. We can't see. Static by dawn. The city was silent again. Only alien corpses littered the streets. The commander slammed a clawed fist against his console. Report. Why are our dropships silent? No answer came. Only fragments of broken transmissions. Whispers of fear. They're everywhere. Shadows. In the trees. They're hunting us. Hunting. That word chilled even the commander, for it was not the voice of prey. It was the voice of predators. On Earth, the hunters moved unseen. In the jungles, camouflaged figures slipped through undergrowth, rifles strapped tight, eyes hard. Their ancestors had trained for this in secret for centuries, passing down knowledge of guerrilla war like scripture. In the cities, resistance fighters struck with precision, disappearing into tunnels and sewers before the aliens could react. Every bullet was deliberate, every ambush rehearsed. To the invaders, it felt as if the planet itself had risen against them, and in truth, it had. By nightfall, a dozen alien landing parties were gone. No survivors, no signals, just silence. But this time, the silence was not Earth's. It was theirs. On the alien flagship, dread spread like poison. The commander bared his teeth, voice trembling with rage. They are not primitives, he spat. They are predators in the dark. And we are their prey. They thought the first landings would break Earth's will. Instead, the landings broke theirs. Dropships had vanished. Soldiers had gone silent. Jungle patrols and city squads had been devoured by shadows. The alien commander raged on the bridge of his flagship, demanding answers, demanding explanations, demanding control. But no control remained, because Earth was waking up. It began beneath the Rocky Mountains. A mountainside trembled as titanic doors, hidden for generations, ground open. Dust and rock cascaded as steel rose from stone, massive silos unlocking, rail cannons hidden in bedrock rumbling to life. Engineers in hardened suits barked orders, consoles glowing with fresh power. In the control room, an old general stared at monitors alive with alien signatures. He didn't flinch. He only muttered a phrase carried across generations. We knew they'd come back. Thousands of miles away, in the Siberian tundra, ice cracked as bunkers opened. From beneath glaciers, vast hangars slid open, revealing stealth bombers black as midnight. Their wings glistened under the pale aurora. Crews swarmed over them, loading payloads long hidden. In the command bunker, a young officer asked, "Sir, are we ready?" The colonel gave a thin smile. "We've been ready since before I was born." The ocean stirred. Deep beneath the waves, colossal shadows moved. Ancient submarines, thought to be decommissioned relics, powered on after decades of silence. Their hulls bristled with launch tubes. Their captains, descendants of men who had sworn oaths in another century, took their stations. Surface. One asked. The reply came sharp and certain. Not yet. Let them come closer. Let them think the oceans are theirs. In South America, villagers watched as mountainsides opened like jaws, revealing hidden airstrips. Camouflaged fighters thundered into the skies, vanishing into the clouds. In Africa, old mines revealed tunnels stretching for miles, armored convoys, rolling out into the desert night. Everywhere on Earth, the same truth revealed itself. Humanity had never been defenseless. It had simply been waiting. On the alien flagship, a strategist trembled as he read the incoming reports. "My lord, sensors detect weapons, many weapons, silos, Airstrips, submarines, entire complexes hidden from our scans. The commanders. Claws dug into the armrest. Impossible. They had no fleets, no presence in the stars. The strategist shook his head, voice breaking. They hid them, for generations, right under our gaze. The commander stared down at Earth, and for the first time, his grin was gone. Meanwhile, humanity moved with precision. In a bunker beneath London, leaders sat in silence, watching feeds of alien warships blotting out the heavens. One leader leaned forward. The world believes we are weak. Let them keep believing it, until the moment they're proven wrong. Across monitors, hidden armies stirred, forgotten weapons gleamed, and plans older than memory were set into motion. The shadows had awakened, and soon, the sky itself would burn. By midnight, the first rail cannon rose from its silo, its barrel longer than a skyscraper, its core glowing with lethal power. Its operators stood ready, target locked. A voice whispered, "Wait, not yet. Let them laugh one more night." They thought Earth had no teeth. They thought wrong. For 2 nights, the alien fleet mocked the world below. They feasted, they boasted, they transmitted their victories across the stars. Dropships still fell, soldiers still marched, but the ground swallowed them whole. And then, on the 3rd night, the sky itself answered. It began in silence. A lone alien cruiser drifted above South America. Its shields lowered while it scanned for resistance. Its crew relaxed, sneering at the primitive world beneath. Then, a streak of light tore upward from the jungle. At first, they mistook it for a meteor. Then their sensors screamed. The rail cannon shell ripped through the cruiser at hypersonic speed. In a single instant, steel and flesh were vaporized. The ship didn't explode, it collapsed, folding inward as its core split apart. From the alien flagship, officers watched in stunned silence as their comrade vanished in a bloom of fire. "What was that?" one gasped. But before an answer came, the sky lit up again. Hidden silos across Earth opened, their cannons rising like giants from the soil. One after another, their barrels glowed with deadly light. They fired in perfect rhythm, each shot ripping upward into the heavens. Cruisers shattered. Frigates spun out of control, holes burning as they fell into the atmosphere. Fire streaked across the sky, not from alien weapons this time, but from alien wreckage raining down in every city. Terrified civilians watched as the stars turned to flames. One child clutched her mother's arm, pointing upward. "Mom, the sky is fighting back." The alien fleet reeled. Shields up, shields up. Captains screamed. Plasma batteries whined, firing into the atmosphere at invisible targets. But the weapons were useless. Earth's guns weren't in orbit. They were hidden in jungles, mountains, deserts. They had aimed carefully. They had waited. And now, they were tearing the invaders apart. The commander's throne shook as another explosion rocked the flagship. He roared, spittle flying. "Where are these weapons coming from?" They had nothing. Nothing. A terrified officer stammered. "We scanned for orbital defenses." There were none. They weren't in orbit. The commander snarled, his eyes, narrowed voice, dropping to a whisper. They buried them. For the first time, fear clutched the alien bridge, and then Earth revealed its second strike. Dead satellites, thrusting husks, long ignored, suddenly flared to life. Their cores weren't dead at all. They were weapons, cloaked in the disguise of ancient relics. In perfect sequence, they fired. Blinding beams of plasma lanced upward, spearing alien destroyers through their bellies. In seconds, ships worth entire star systems of tribute burned like paper. The commander fell silent. His mind replayed a warning he'd ignored. No one forgets. A world on purpose. Now, he understood. On Earth, inside a mountain command bunker. An old general lowered his binoculars As another alien cruiser disintegrated in the stratosphere, he turned to his staff. Phase 1 complete. Let them choke on their arrogance. Phase 2, prepare the skies. Operators moved with silent precision, their faces calm, not panicked, not fearful. They had trained for this moment all their lives. Above, the alien fleet pulled back in chaos, their tight formation shattered. Where once they had loomed like gods over a defenseless world, now they bled fire into the void, and below, Earth's shadows whispered to one another, waiting for the next strike, because the fire from the sky was only the beginning. The alien fleet was bleeding. Where once it had stretched across the skies like an iron wall, now it drifted in chaos, ships torn apart, cruisers falling into Earth's atmosphere like burning coffins. Entire formations had been annihilated by weapons no one in the galaxy believed this primitive world possessed. And in the silence, after the slaughter, the first prisoners were taken. It happened in the ruins of Snow. Apollo, an alien dropship, crippled by flak fire, had crashed into the outskirts of the city. Its survivors, 20 soldiers, armored and snarling, had staggered into the streets, weapons raised. They expected resistance. Instead, they found themselves surrounded. Figures emerged from the shadows, men and women in dark fatigues, faces, painted rifles steady. They moved like ghosts, silent and sharpened. The aliens snarled, "You dare take us alive?" A human commander stepped forward, calm and cold. "Alive is generous. Surrender is wiser." Minutes later, the aliens were in chains, beneath the Andes Mountains. In a chamber carved from black stone, the prisoners were dragged before Earth's War Council. The council chamber was lit by pale screens and humming projectors. Old generals, younger officers, and civilian leaders sat around a vast table, their eyes locked on the captives. The alien commander spat at the floor. "You tricked us. You hid your weapons, your armies. Why? Why play weak? Why let us come this far?" The eldest general, his voice gravel and iron, leaned forward. "Because the galaxy must never remember." The alien snarled. "Remember what?" The general tapped a console. The chamber lights dimmed. Holograms flickered to life scenes of wars long past. Battles fought not in centuries, but in millennia. And the aliens' eyes widened in horror. They saw fleets burning. Not alien fleets, human fleets. Warships marked with Earth's banners, tearing across the stars like fire. They saw alien worlds reduced to ash, their skies burning red. Armies of humanity in steel and fury, fighting not for conquest, but for survival. They saw treaties signed in desperation, armistices, written not to protect Earth, but to protect the galaxy from Earth. The images blurred, shifting to words burned into the galactic archives, then erased. Earth shall be stricken from the maps, its name forgotten, its strength buried. None shall speak of it again. The prisoners trembled. One whispered, "That is impossible. You were primitives." The general's voice cut like a blade. "We were never primitives. We were predators who walked among stars, and you are proof that the galaxy forgot why it feared us." The alien commander's voice broke. "The treaty, the silence. It was not because you were weak. No." The general's eyes burned. "It was because we were too strong. So strong, the galaxy made a pact to erase us, to lock us away, to hope we would fade into myth." The council chamber fell silent except for the hum of old machines. The aliens finally understood. Their invasion had not uncovered a weak world. It had awakened the nightmare the galaxy had sworn to bury. On the flagship above, alien officers argued, fear spreading like wildfire. If this knowledge leaves Earth, if the galaxy remembers, the commander gritted his teeth, shaking, then every world will know the truth. Earth was not defenseless. Earth was banished. If Earth had been patient enough to wait this long, how much more had it prepared while the stars forgot? The truth had spread through the alien fleet like poison. Earth was not weak. Earth was not forgotten. Earth had been banished, its name scrubbed from the maps, not because it lacked power, but because it had too much. And yet the fleet still hung. In orbit, thousands of warships strong. Pride and fear waged war in the hearts of its commanders. If they fled now, the galaxy would laugh at them forever. If they stayed, they risked awakening the very predator history had warned them of. The Supreme Commander chose pride, signaled the fleet. He growled, voice sharp as broken glass. No more probing, no more testing. We strike with everything. We burn the earth until nothing remains but ash. The orders spread, engines roared to life. The shattered formation reformed, ships pulling tight into phalanx lines. Weapons charged, until space itself shimmered with energy. From the flagship's viewports, Earth filled the void blue and green, fragile and small. Prepare the cleansing fire, the commander ordered. Tonight, we erase them forever. The people of Earth looked up. In New York, crowds gathered on rooftops, watching as the stars vanished behind a veil of alien steel. In Cairo, minarets shone under the glow of enemy warships. In Tokyo, entire districts stood still, their lights reflecting the shadows above. It felt like the end of the world, but Earth's defenders were not afraid. In bunkers, in command rooms, in submarines and mountain bases, humanity's warriors stood ready. Calm. Focused, the old general gave the order, with a voice steady as stone. Phase 3, let the predator breathe. It began with the oceans. From the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian depths, colossal carriers surged upward, their hulls dripping salt water as launch bays cracked open. Squadrons of jet-black fighters screamed skyward, engines howling like wolves unleashed. From Arctic ice, missile silos tore open, sending swarms of warheads streaking into the upper atmosphere, and from the deserts of Nevada, Siberia, and the outback, weapons older than history spat fire into the heavens. Rail cannons, firing in perfect, merciless rhythm. The night turned into day. Alien formations collapsed in chaos. The first volley ripped through their shields, tearing apart destroyers before they could raise defenses. Fighters swarmed, darting between massive cruisers, slashing them open with payloads of burning plasma. The commander roared on his flagship, "Hold, formation, burn them from the sky." But Earth had more. From the mountains, hidden artillery fired warheads designed not to kill ships, but to blind them. Alien scanners went black, sensors fried by storms of electromagnetic fire. The fleet hung blind in orbit, swatting at shadows as humanity tore them apart. One officer on the flagship whispered in horror, "They're fighting like they've done this before." The commander's jaw clenched, because they have. The battle raged across the skies. From the ground, civilians watched as streaks of fire painted the heavens, alien wreckage raining down in burning arcs. It looked like a second constellation collapsing, a galaxy's worth of pride undone in minutes. Still, the aliens pressed forward. Still, Earth answered with steel and fury. At dawn, the flagship itself shook as Earth's cannons found their mark. Its shields flickered, its engines howled. On its bridge, the commander stared at the burning world below, realization dawning too late. This planet, he whispered, was never prey. The war ended in fire. Above Earth, the alien armada that once blotted out the stars was gone, shattered, broken, reduced to smoldering wrecks that fell in burning arcs across the skies. Where thousands of ships had gathered, only silence remained, and from that silence, the galaxy trembled. The flagship was the last to fall. Its massive hull cracked open under the relentless strikes of Earth's hidden cannons. Fires consumed its decks, as alarms wailed in languages soon to be silenced. The Supreme Commander clung to his throne, eyes burning with disbelief as the ship split apart. "This world," he whispered, as flames consumed him, was never defenseless. The vessel detonated in a final blaze of light, a star dying above Earth's skies, and humanity stood unbroken. On the ground, the people of Earth poured into the streets. They had watched the heavens burn all night, expecting to beyond. Instead, they witnessed victory. Cities, scarred by bombardment, rang with cheers. In shelters and bunkers, children lifted their heads, asking, "Did we win?" Soldiers and civilians alike looked skyward. The answer was written in fire across the atmosphere. Yes, they had won. But Earth's leaders knew better. This was not just victory. It was revelation. Deep beneath the Rockies, in the War Council chamber, the generals sat in silence. Holograms of wrecked alien fleets spun across the table. Prisoners shackled and broken, cowered in corners. A younger officer finally broke the silence. "The galaxy will know now. They'll know who we are." The old general nodded grimly. "They will remember what they swore to forget." He leaned forward, voice cold and sharp as steel. "And they will fear us again." In the weeks that followed, survivors fled back into the void. They carried stories with them, stories of a forgotten world that had risen from silence, of weapons older than empires, of predators disguised as prey. Their whispers reached trading posts, outposts, and war councils. Earth still lives. Worlds that had once mocked its absence now whispered in terror. Commanders stared at old star maps, realizing the blank spot at the edge of human space had never been an oversight. It had been a warning, and now that warning was broken. On Earth, the scars of war ran deep, cities burned, lives lost, oceans poisoned with wreckage. Yet, amid the ruin, humanity stood taller than it had in centuries. For the first time in generations, the stars above did not look like unreachable lights. They looked like a battlefield waiting to be reclaimed. They came because they thought we were weak. They left because they learned the truth. But the galaxy will not stop here. Others will come. And when they do, he glanced at the burning horizon. "We'll be ready." Above, the last alien wreckage burned away. Streaking across dawn like falling stars, children pointed upward in awe, not fear. To them, the sky no longer meant helplessness. It meant defiance. It meant victory. It meant that humanity's silence had ended.